Hi, my name is Mike Stratton. I'm here to talk to you today about rolling with resistance. Rolling with resistance is one of 5 techniques that are associated with motivational interviewing. It's a way of interviewing that really helps people who are normally kind of ambivalent or resistant to change in some way or another. If you remember last time we talked about developing discrepancy, and don't you love these acronyms? READS. So rolling with resistance, expressing empathy, avoiding argumentation, developing discrepancy, and supporting self-efficacy. You'll see me use all of these skills in the midst of our conversation today, but we'll really be focusing on rolling with resistance. This takes the point of view, the whole motivational interviewing model takes the point of view that resistance is normal. When it comes up in a session, usually clients are ambivalent about the changes, so it's to be expected. And if it escalates, the worker should be doing some reflection about, am I doing anything to elicit this resistance? So you'll see me even maybe make an error or two to see if that's escalating and what I have to do to correct that. Our scenario today is Rosalind will be coming in, and I have not seen her for about 9 months, I believe. She was here a year ago and set some goals for herself about getting more physical exercise for 20 minutes 4 times a week, which she accomplished for the first 3 weeks. But that was about a year ago. I haven't seen her in the last 9 months. When she comes back in, she's gone from a stage 1 hypertension to stage 2, and her cholesterol has increased from 221 to 236. Hi, Rosalind.
Hi.
Mike Stratton. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
Yeah. It's been a while. It's good to see you. It's been, I think, 9 months or something. How was your trip getting here today?
Oh, it was a bit rushed.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to manage life.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah. There's a lot to manage, huh?
Yeah. I just got a lot of things going on right now. Just, trying to make sure my kids are okay, and since the last time I saw you, it's been a madhouse.
So tell me about it.
Well, it's just been tough. We've just had a lot of things have gone on since the last time. I don't even know what, it's been a year. It seems like it's been longer because, I'm just trying to take care of my kids. We've been told we may be laid off. We're not really sure, so we're just kind of on edge right now. We just don't know what to do.
Really up in the air.
It's been up in the air, and we're just trying to make it. That's all. We're just trying to make it.
Remind me of how many kids you have.
I only have 2.
You have 2 kids,
yes.
Okay. What are their ages again?
7 and 4.
Oh, so you got a handful. You got 2 handfuls. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they're great kids, but, it's a lot. It
just
takes a lot of energy.
So you don't even know about your job. That might happen, or that's going to happen?
We don't know yet. We're still waiting. 1 month they tell us, okay, you can stay for another week or 2, and then, we just don't know. We've been laid off twice and called back, so it's tough.
So you've had a lot of things going on this year that's really distracted you from the things that we talked about a year ago, right? That's
To tell you the truth, I don't even remember what we talked about a year ago.
To tell you the truth, I'm not sure myself. But luckily we have these agreements that we made, the goal setting and all that kind of stuff that we had set up. And I think that you're going to be seeing your doctor in the near future, right? And they're going to go over what the results are. Does it feel okay to talk about that a little bit now? Is that?
At this point, we can talk all we want.
Okay.
But
okay.
This is kind of what I'm coming to the appointment, and so let's hear. You've got me.
Yeah, I really appreciate that too. And I realize I called you Rosalind, and I don't know if you prefer to be called Rosalind or Ms. Harris, or what's your preference?
Well, today you can call me Rosalind, but the next time I come in, who knows?
Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's take a look at some of these things then. Your health information is the first thing that I want to talk to you about. And what you just went through, they just took your blood pressure and took a look at what your cholesterol levels are. And so usually we go through this whole thing But we're just going to focus on these two to begin with, okay? Your blood pressure is averaging 127 over 100. And a year ago is 128 over 98. So actually, it's just slipped. It's just slipped over the period of stage 1 hypertension to stage 2 hypertension. Do you see that?
Well, that would make sense because I have more tension in my life.
Exactly, exactly. See, this is high. See that
Yeah.
red? That was high before. You're just slipping into the very high category
Right.
there, and the lower number. But the lower number is always the more important number, and there you are. So, do you have a reaction to that or a thought about that?
Well, you know, we just took this today, right? So
Right. So this is just
the
news.
amount of
You don't know.
the amount of stress that it took for me to just get here,
Yeah.
you know, that alone, you know, those numbers just can't be right.
So you're wondering if even, just the stress of getting here and all that,
Right.
if it might be different right now, if you took a few deep breaths, maybe it would be lower.
I mean,
You
I had
wonder-
to drop off my, both of my kids this morning, and they've got that flu going around, and so, that was just stressful just getting out the door.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So those numbers really, that
Yeah.
doesn't really say what could
Well,
be happening.
you have a good point. On the one hand, this may be an example of just what's going on at the moment, and on the other hand, you describe like this is kind of your life all the time now. It's always a madhouse. You're always under this kind of stress. So possibly this might be a reading that you might get on any given day. Do you think? I mean, is that a possibility?
I mean, it's possible, but
Uh-huh.
I just think, to go on what is said today, what if I take the test tomorrow? It might be something
Yeah,
different.
or 5 minutes from now, or 2
Right.
days from now. Yeah. So
I mean, just being here alone is stressful.
yeah. And this is probably more stressful than other things.
Mm-hmm.
Do you suppose? What's the most stressful part about it?
Well, I'm trying to keep a job. So for me to get the kids out the door and run over here to this appointment and get to my job, I'm thinking it's almost time for me to go.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I thank you for sharing this with me, but,
Yeah.
I don't know what else you want me to say or do at this point. I'm doing what I can do just to stay above water.
Okay. It's very stressful, and you're really making sacrifices to just be here today, and that tells me something about how important your health is to you to come in. And it's always hard to hear bad news. It's always hard to hear news. Were you kind of hoping or anticipating that your numbers might be lower now, or?
Well, I really didn't know what to expect because, quite honestly, I didn't remember from last year.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
just you telling me that it's increased, and I was like, okay.
Okay. Got it. Let's take a look at your cholesterol a little bit, and then we'll talk about what might be done about it. Just a reminder, cholesterol is the fatty substance that the body makes, okay? So you can also find it in foods that come from animals, all that stuff, meat, eggs, cheese. You want this number to be as low as possible. Last year, your number was 221. This year, it's 236. So you were borderline high before. And sometimes it's not so much what the actual number is at the moment, but the direction it's going. So you were here before, but it's going up. You're getting very close, just 4 points away from being in the high range, which really starts to, well, go ahead. You're going to say
But I'm
something.
not high.
Not quite yet, but borderline high and heading towards it. And just like you said, your reading today might be a little different one way or the other. Your reading might slip into that high category, might slip down a little bit. You're right in that neighborhood.
So, wait, what?
Take a look.
What was the, a year ago, what did it say again?
221,
221?
and so it's gone up 15 points.
So are you, okay, it's 15 points over a year. That's really not that bad.
So yeah, so 15 points from now, a year from now, you'd be, in the high range. I mean, if you kept it up at that rate, you think maybe that's kind of an acceptable thing, kind of.
So what are you trying to tell me to do? Become a vegetarian? Is that, you know, am I supposed to stop eating? Because
that would be
I
terrible.
like to eat, and I like to eat meat.
Me
So
too.
what
Me too.
I don't understand,
Yeah.
you know, because right now it's almost lunchtime, and I will definitely be eating some meat at lunch.
Okay. What do you think you'll have for lunch?
I don't know, maybe a turkey sandwich, but
Oh, a turkey sandwich. Well,
Yeah.
see, even that's a healthier choice than a cheeseburger. You know?
so you're not telling me to stop eating?
No.
Okay.
No, no, no. Don't stop eating. No, no, no.
All right, because
You'd starve to death.
that's what I'm hearing.
Oh, okay. Well, let's
So-
be really clear. This is distressing news for you, and nobody likes to be told that their health is not doing well, or it's going in a direction that's even bad. So it's natural to have that kind of reaction, you know, where you're just really kind of taken aback and, oh, this can't be true, you know, or is it really that bad, you know, all that kind of stuff. It really makes a lot of sense. But you know, a couple of things that I noticed. One is, even in the midst of this busy day, getting your kids off. You know, being on the way to work, you know, all of that stuff, you still made a point of coming here. It was still important enough for you to do that. Can you tell me why you made that decision?
Well, in all honesty, you know, because women, we just do everything. And
Yeah.
I'm here because of my kids. You know, I know that I have to try to take care of myself, and, you know, if that means I have to come here and get a slap in the face to get me back on board, then I guess, you know, I'll come and do that. But it's really because of my kids, and, you know, it's a sacrifice I'm making, but it's a sacrifice that's going to be a good sacrifice for me in the long run. It's just, I probably don't like the way that I have to do it.
I
You
see.
know, just trying to get the exercise in and eating right. I mean, that's hard to do, and you don't think about it all the time. A lot of times I'm on automatic. So,
I see. I see. So it's really important for you to be able to address your health, even in spite of all of these things that are going on, all of these stresses, how difficult it is for you to be here, how difficult it is to get this really news that isn't great. You know, but it's still important for you to do this, for you. I mean, that, and for your kids is what you're saying. Very cool. I just admire that so much. So let's take a look at what you did last year. So a year ago, you chose a goal that was important to you. You said that your healthy lifestyle goal was to increase your physical activity by 20 minutes, 4 times a week, right?
right. I remember something about that.
Yeah, okay, great. And well, tell me what you remember about it. What was your thought at the time? How did you think you were going to do it, or what did you want to try?
Well, at the time, you know, about, what you say, a year ago, that seems about right. You know, I think I thought I could do it.
Yeah.
You know, but life kind of changed.
Remind me a little bit about what you thought you would do for 20 minutes, 4 times a week. What were you going to do that was going to be different?
I was going to try to walk around my neighborhood.
Okay.
You know, I was just going to do something
right.
real simple. If not that, just, you know, try to walk my kids, try to get them going, and but you know, it just didn't happen.
A little
I mean,
physical activity wouldn't hurt them either?
just a little bit, you know, and it was kind of easier, you know, then, because it was summertime.
Yeah.
You know, and that's fine, but you
Right.
know, once it started getting cold,
Detroit in the
I
winter is...
don't like to be in the cold, and
You're
I
right.
don't like cold.
You're right.
So it got real easy for me, you know, to kind of slide off the wagon.
Okay. Well, a couple things that I noticed here, and maybe you just put your finger on it. Maybe it was the time of year. For the first 3 weeks, look at all those check marks you have. I mean, you were really doing it.
Yeah, I tried.
What was
You know,
that like?
I tried to commit to
Well,
my
you did
word.
more than try. You did it. You really did it. Tell me about that. Tell me what that was like.
Well, you know, it started out fine. You know, when I left out of here, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. You know, I got my kids involved, and, you know, I got my mom involved, and, you know, we
You
were
were all
doing it.
you were all walking.
We were doing pretty good. But then
Yeah.
my mother got ill, and so I had to kind of take care of her, you know, and then after that, you know, my kids came down with the flu, and, you know, it was hard. It's hard getting back, you know,
Right.
and you know, my mom, you know, she's you know, taking care of my kids when I'm trying to go to work. And
Got it.
so when she got sick, then I had to, you know, rely on neighbors.
So tell me what happened with your mother.
Well, she had a mild stroke,
Oh.
and then yeah, that was pretty shocking. And then, a couple months later, she had a full-blown stroke. So
Oh.
I've just been
I'm sorry.
taking care of her, trying to get her together. She was taking care of my kids. So when I was going to work, and so it's been tough. It's been tough trying to get myself together. It's just been really hard. So, I want to do better, but I just can't. I can't sit down and think about this right now.
Right.
It's just too much.
Yeah, I understand that it's so, one of the things that really hits me is that how much you care about your family and how much you're willing to do for them and take care of them. And one thing that strikes me is how, what we're talking about today is to try to prevent happening to you exactly what's just happened to your mom with your family history and stuff, that just puts you even more at risk. Yeah. So one thing that I'm noticing, though, is that you did perfectly well those first 3 weeks. You just did, you did the job. Talk about that. What was that like?
Well, for one thing, it's easier to get out when it's almost summertime. We get out in the evenings and kind of walk around the neighborhood. I met some of my neighbors because we were out walking around, but it's Michigan, and it got cold real quick.
Yeah.
And
so
I don't like being cold.
A lot of good things happened those first 3 weeks. You were talking about your family being involved with it, that you met some of your neighbors. A lot of good things were happening. And then it got cold, and you don't like that. So maybe something needs to change to be able to accommodate for those changes in the weather, something to do inside maybe.
Yeah, well, I don't know what else to do outside of, chasing after my kids. Doesn't that count? Do I get the points for that? Does it increase somewhere?
It probably does. Well, and here's the thing, that we don't know what the measurement would be if you didn't chase after your kids. It'd probably be it would probably be a lot worse. So you're probably doing some things that are helping to keep it down already. Are you a pretty active person in your household? You're chasing after your kids. Are you doing other activities as well?
Well, does walking to my car count? Because I'm not going to go and get a membership at a gym or nothing. Right. So outside of walking up and down the stairs with the laundry, walking out to the car, that's what I have time for.
Yeah.
So I don't know where you expect me to fit it all in my day, trying to take care of my kids.
That's probably really gets your heart rate up, walking up and down those stairs with the laundry.
It's getting my heart rate up now, just sitting and talking about it.
Yeah, I bet it does.
Yeah.
I bet it does. I get it. And that may be a kind of an exercise that you want to incorporate even. Walking up and down your steps, that's a possibility even. But let's get back to this. So you did really, really well, and then something happened, and it's probably the weather and your mom getting sick, and then your kids came down with something. And then this kind of got lost in the shuffle a little bit. If we look at it again today, what do you think you'd want your goal to be? And maybe 4 times a week is too much. Is that too much to ask at this point?
Oh, that is way too much to ask.
That's way too much.
I don't even know how to fit that in my day. Like I said, I'm working. If I'm not working, then I'm taking care of both my mom and my kids. So, and trying to keep the house in order. So, give me some suggestions on how I'm supposed to fit, 20 minutes of exercise a week?
4 times
20
a week,
minutes?
right? 20 minutes, yeah.
That's a lot of time.
So you think that maybe you were too ambitious last year when you looked at that and said, let's do 20 minutes. Maybe that was too much for you to take on.
Well, no, I just think that life changed, and that part of my life didn't change with it. So I'm just, how do I fit it all in?
How do you fit it all in?
Right now, at this meeting, we don't have much time because I really have to.
You have to leave really soon, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's look at this. This is a new contract. And so a couple of ideas that you mentioned. One thing is, what would it be like if you, your refrigerator, do you have magnets, or do you have tape? Do you put things on your refrigerator? Some place where you can see this every day.
Well,
instead of a pile, get lost in the pile?
you know, we do put a few things on the refrigerator, but just because it's up there doesn't mean I'm going to do much with it.
Exactly, exactly. So this is a, and let me be clear about this, you know, this is not an agreement of something that I'm asking you to do. This is what, an agreement you're making with yourself. Does that make sense? And I'm on your side with this. So there's a part of you that feels like, oh, I've got way too much to do. There's no way I can get this done. And on the other hand, you have these serious health issues, and you see what's going on with your mom, and that you don't want to, I mean, who would take care of these kids if you went down? You know, what would happen? So on the, does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay.
But, you know,
So there's two parts of you, okay? There's two parts of you. There's a part of you that wants to get healthy, and then there's another part of you that says, oh, I just don't have the time. It's going to be too much to ask, all that kind of stuff. And I want to help line up with you on the side that says, I do want to get healthy. I do want to bring these numbers down. I don't want to have one of these strokes. I want to be there for my kids. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you know, it does make sense, but, you know, I guess the way I see this is that it's got to be, you know, maybe 3 weeks do this, 3 weeks do that.
Perfect.
And do something a little different than
Perfect.
just telling me that I need to
Perfect.
do,
Perfect.
you know, X, Y, Z right now.
Here you
That's
go.
not going to happen.
Here you go. Yeah, exactly, exactly. So one thing that we might do is that we might increase our contact. You know, I might give you a call every 3 weeks.
Every 3 weeks? Well, you sound like a bill collector. You might not get through, you know, because we look at caller ID.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay, I tell you what, I'm going to write down my number just so that you'll be warned. When this number comes through, that'll be me. So you can make that choice of whether you want to pick up or not. There we go, 555-1111. So that's and again, I tell you what, I just want to honor, and I know our time here is very short today, but I want to honor how courageous it is of you to be able to talk about this and to, you know, to it's such a personal thing, isn't it? I mean, your own health and people intruding and asking about, you know, what kind of commitments you're ready to make and all that kind of stuff. This is between, you know, I would say this is between you and your higher power, you know.
Well, right now my higher power is trying to keep a job. So.
That's exactly right. So I tell you what, the goal that you want to make for yourself today is really between you and your best decision making, okay, about what you want to do with this. So we've been over this. It's important that it's your decision, you know, of how important is it to you to make a decision about your health. And if 4 times a week is too much, then that's too much. You make a decision about what you want to do. My concern would be, though, exactly what you've raised before. What happens when it's snowing? What happens when it gets really cold? Do you have a backup plan? What would you want to do on those days?
Well, if it's not too bad out, we'll just slap our boots on and keep on walking. But, you know, if it's real bad out, I don't know, I guess I can try to walk the stairs in my house or, you know, at my job, try to walk around and get 10 minutes in that way. I mean, I do get breaks, so I guess that's a way for me to do that.
That's a great plan. We might want to write those down, too.
You really trying to commit me to this, huh?
Well, I'm on your side, you know, in terms of helping you make these changes for yourself. But it's absolutely your decision. You have to be, you know, set on that this is what's right for you and your family.
Yeah, you know, it does make sense, but, you know, you know, I guess the way I see this is that it's got to be, you know, maybe 3 weeks do this, 3 weeks do that.
Perfect.
And do something a little different than just telling me that I need to do,
Perfect.
you know, X, Y, Z right now.
Here you
That's
go.
not going to happen.
Here you go. Yeah, exactly, exactly. So one thing that we might do is that we might increase our contact. You know, I might give you a call every 3 weeks or something. I can put it down on my
Every 3
calendar.
weeks?
Well, you just said every 3 weeks I'm going to change something, and I can just be your cheerleader.
Well, I guess one of the things that I could try to do is maybe when I take my kids to school, we could possibly walk. You know, that might help us, you know, get back into exercising.
How far is school?
You know, it's not that far away, but it's just not safe. it's not safe to let my kids walk to school, so we just hop in the car and we go. But you know, I guess I can start walking them to school.
Is it safe for you to walk?
You think someone's gonna mess with me?
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
It's safe to walk.
All
It's
right.
safe. Thank
right.
you, but don't worry about it. And I don't know, maybe, you know, I do have to take my mom to physical therapy, you know, with her stroke and everything. So maybe while she's there, you know, maybe I can either, you know, do something with her, you know, off to the side or something, you know. I could try to squeeze some things in, but, you know, I won't be able to do it by myself, not with my time.
Gotcha.
Because if
Gotcha.
I have time to myself, I'm going to take a nap.
Yeah, gotcha. Perfect. Do you feel like you're ready to actually make an agreement with yourself, to actually do it on paper, to write it down like you did before?
Well, I think I could start to do something. I mean, since the kids are in school right now, that, you know, I can try to start, if not tomorrow, you know, try to start next week, just walking to school. You know, I got to get them on board because it's just a hassle trying to get them up and out the house, and then to make them walk too.
Gotcha.
You
Oh,
know,
it's a big job.
I'll be mean mommy, but that's okay.
It's a
You know,
big job.
We'll try to work it out.
I really want to hear how it's going. So even when I don't call you, feel free to call me and let me know how it's going, okay? Because I really want to, I'm loving these ideas that you have. There you go. Just like last time when you wrote out what your goals were.
Okay. Let's see. Start walking to school
Yeah.
with kids. I'm just going to put that down on there because at least
Okay.
I know they're going to go to school.
Yes. That's
But-
very good. That's very good.
And I'll just start
Is that
right
every
there.
day? They go 5 days a week? Do they?
Yes, they go 5 days
my
a week.
gosh.
And,
Wow.
you know, we try to take them somewhere Saturday mornings to
Okay.
get, you know, to keep their mind going.
Okay.
Because, you know, we want them to have the best.
One thing I really like about this is that you're doing something for yourself and you're also doing something for your kids at the same time. And it might be easier to make that goal because you're so focused on your family and taking care of your family. Yeah, I like it. I like
But
it a lot.
It takes a lot of energy.
Rosalind, thank you so much for coming in today. I mean, I really enjoyed our interaction and how dedicated and committed you are to your own health. And I'll be in touch with you really soon. Feel free to call me next week and let me know how this is going. And I'm going to make a note to myself to call you back next week. And you can treat me like a bill collector, not pick up if you want, but
No,
I really want to know how you're doing.
I guess, well, you know, we do have voicemail though.
Okay,
But,
good. It'll be a reminder. And here, just a tip, where would you put this that you would be able to see it and remind yourself of it, of your agreement with yourself?
Well, you know, I did get a magnet from you guys a long time ago, so that's still on my refrigerator.
Is it really?
And, you know, I guess I can make some use of it and actually put this form up there.
That's a deal. That's a
Okay.
deal.
All
Very
right.
good. Thank you
okay,
so
well,
much.
thank you, yeah, because I got to go to work.
All right.
So,
Okay. I
all right.
appreciate you coming in today.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
So what you've just seen today is a fairly typical interaction that you're going to have with someone who is ambivalent about change. And what we've seen is a fair amount of resistance. So a couple of reminders about resistance. First and foremost, resistance is completely natural with someone who is beginning to consider change. Rolling with resistance is avoiding that head-on collision that you have where you might actually engage in an argument or a disagreement with a client about their ability to change. So what you do instead is that you have an empathic response, you reflect how difficult it is to change, that you understand their position, and you take on both sides of the ambivalence so that you're able to reflect back and forth that on the one hand they want to change, on the other hand it's really difficult, and here are some of the areas that are the most difficult. Let's talk about this particular exchange that we just had. Stressful part about it.
Well, you know, I'm trying to keep a job. So for me to get the kids out the door and run over here to this appointment and get to my job, you know, I'm thinking it's almost time for me to go.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, I thank you for sharing this with me, but,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know what else you want me to say or do at this point. I'm doing what I can do.
And again, intervention that I chose to make was just to empathize with it and how difficult it was for her to be here, and really even to play out that point that she really, in fact, did come in today, and what was it that helped her make that decision? And so that she got to the point where she could verbalize, well, this is important to me. One thing to keep in mind always is the stages of change. So when I saw Rosalind a year ago, she was at a point where she was ready to change. She was ready to make the change, and she began to change. And today when she came in, it looks like she's back not just to contemplation, but to pre-contemplation. She may not want to make a change whatsoever. Again, don't be thrown by that. That's the stage of change that she's at this moment. So some of the things that we saw Rosalind do, initially, she related that she'd forgotten all of her goals. She related that she'd misplaced the paper. She disputed the figures that I went over with her, you know, that maybe those were incorrect in some way. Rather than engage in an argument about that, I just rolled with that and said, yeah, it might be different from one time to another. I offered something to her to see if she would pick up on it, that maybe, you know, this is stressful and a lot of her life is stressful, so maybe she does have those peaks throughout the day on a regular basis, and to see what now if she would have continued to dispute that or to argue with it, I might have done something, but basically it was just rolling with the resistance. She mentioned at one point that it was a slap in the face.
You know, if that means I have to come here and get a slap in the face to get me back on board, then I guess, you know, I'll come and do that.
It's easy to take that personally as someone who's working with someone who's ambivalent about change. Now, I know I didn't slap her in the face. You know I didn't slap her in the face. Even she knows that I didn't slap her in the face. But do I rise to the bait and act insulted? I just tended to ignore that. If there had been a lot more of that, I probably would have taken another tack. But part of rolling with resistance is to not rise to the bait of something that's kind of a personal jab at you as a professional. A lot of her interactions I dealt with some respectful humor. You'll notice that there were times that she said things like, I'm going to be the bill collector, or things of that sort, where I kind of laughed or I chuckled along with it, and I wanted to show her that I got her humor, that I got it. Now, if she had reacted differently, I would not have laughed. If someone does not, if someone is not engaged in a way that shows that they get that I get them. So she understands that my humor is a reflection of me getting her. But if she hadn't reacted that way, if she had intensified or if she had escalated, that would have meant that my humor was eliciting that resistance, and I would have pulled back on the humor and been much, much more respectful. As it was, she was able to interpret the humor as respectful, so I could be humorous with her. I could be joking, and she was rolling with my humor just as I was rolling with her resistance. We had that dance going, and it worked out just fine. So at one point, Rosalind said, I might treat you like a bill collector if you call to check in. So I was trying to offer support on the one hand, and her response was, I might not be there, I might not answer the phone. So what I did with that was to actually give her the number and to tell her, well, this is my number, so you'll know what it is when it comes up. So again, just kind of playing along with her own resistance and rolling with it in a way, and not fighting with her about it, but again, getting her sense of humor and getting her sense of, this is my issue, this is my privacy, you can keep your hands off of it. Again, if she had reacted differently to that, I would have taken a different tack, but she got it. She rolled with it herself, and so I went in the same direction. One of the errors that I mentioned at the beginning of the tape that you saw me make was when I introduced the goal sheet to her, and I pushed it in her direction and gave her the pen before she was ready to do anything with it. And you could see that. What I tried to do then was to take it back and put it back and reflect to her that this is her choice. What do you want to do about it? I didn't give it to her until she was ready. This moves her from the stage of change, of pre-contemplation, to contemplation. You can actually see her working through it on this tape as she begins to think, what do I want to do about it? This is not this man telling me what to do, but what do I want to do about it? You still made a point of coming here. It was still important enough for you to do that. Can you tell me why you made that decision?
Well, in all honesty, I'm here because of my kids. You know, I know that I have to try to take care of myself. And
so in summary, one of the things that you'll notice is that all 5 of the techniques that I discussed at the beginning of the tape are on display during this interaction. You never just use one technique. You're probably using all 5 to a greater or lesser degree. You saw me rolling with resistance, but you also saw me expressing empathy. That's one of the best things to do when someone is resistant, is to go back and tell them that you understand their stress. You understand how difficult it is for them to change. You understand how they're ambivalent, how they're going to go back and forth. I avoided argumentation. I developed the discrepancy in terms of her, on the one hand, feeling very stressed and overwhelmed, and at the same time she gave me the beautiful example of her own mother having a stroke and how she didn't want to end up in the same place. And then finally, supporting her self-efficacy, supporting her choice to do this, that it's about her having this battle internally, not a battle with me. Hopefully this has been helpful.